very important to try and keep the body sugar levels very steady.
Yes.
Because you don't want
For various reasons,
Yes.
but metabolically, when you dip your sugar, I'm sure you've all experienced, you get a little bit tremory and you start to feel uneasy. And that's really a point where you don't want to be at. You want to have intercepted it before. And so, for instance, for those patients who are on a regular meal plan and they have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is ideal, the shakes are very good in between
Very good.
to maintain. And we emphasize to go slow, steady throughout the day.
Absolutely.
To keep your sugars from going up and down, more steady, and so they have less hunger.
and you won't go searching for the junk.
Right.
There you go. Nice. How did you feel when you were done? The emotional fitness kicked in, huh?
That emotional high when you're
that
coming
healthy,
across
that
finish
healthy choice, knowing crossing that finish line. So you got more cardio in.
line. Adrienne wants you to come and do her yard after
Yeah,
the presentation.
Give a round of applause. And just think what it's going to be like next year, because we get better, you know. And so, like I said, everybody's talking about these great stories, and once again, it's been quality of life, which is to me is the key. It's not always about the physical; it's the quality of life, the energy. And you know what I've noticed too is, believe it or not, you might not be doing this on purpose, but you're inspiring people just by doing that. Because what's going to happen, people are like, oh my God, I remember when she was tired, or you know, he used to sleep in and now he's starting to get up. And believe it or not, sometimes we don't even need to say one thing, but you're going to start inspiring just by your passion. Give her a round of applause. I have a woman I've been training for a while. She doesn't care about the physical. All she cares about is her blood work. She gets blood work done. Seriously, she's diabetic. She don't care about anything. We've been training. She's like, I just care about my blood work. Her name's Grace. And I tell you what, it's every 6 months she has those tests. And as long as those tests are good, she don't care. Her bonus is she's lost 5 pounds. But more important, she does it for the why. The quality of life. She's got grandkids. She commutes to Beverly Hills. She's attached. Does taxes, so she has to have energy, gets up at 4:30 in the morning, trains at night, but her why we do what we do to that is really powerful. And it sounds like everybody I've talked to, your why is exactly where we need to be. I don't hear too much of the physical part. That's a bonus. The nice, you know, oh, these clothes fit, you know, they used to be tight, now they're baggy. It's just like the bonus, what I call it. But the more of the quality of life, and I know I've said that so many times, but I can't emphasize it enough. Because I think that's the problem, you guys, is that the fitness industry is so focused on the physical and the vanity and not focused more on the inward and the mental fitness. And like I said, the confidence. You know, when you were done, you wanted to continue. Mm-hmm. So now all of a sudden your life gets better mentally too. Mm-hmm. You have more confidence. Yeah. And what I've noticed that people that have started working on their health, they've had more confidence and they've come out of their comfort zone and end up going back to school. They've left unhealthy relationships, and that's where that transformation, overall what I call wellness, really kicks in. So we come in here for one, but we end up doing other things because it's like a spin-off. You know what I mean? It's like a snowball. So if we can really start changing on the inward, and that's going to keep us going too. Doctor, do you have any questions?
First of all, I want to take the opportunity.
Yeah, I know I've been wanting to meet you. I've heard a lot of good things about you. Seriously.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Doctor.
Awesome. Thank you for your time and the
thank you
effort
for
and
inviting me.
share
Yes.
your wisdom and your knowledge. Thank you for that. But I want to share a little story.
Okay.
Be that and it's good to see you guys, all of you. So we did a 5K 2 years ago now. There was a color run here.
Yeah.
And the story that you shared was very true. So it was probably half a dozen of our patients with us. And I was really struggling to catch up with them. Right. And I could see them like in the distance, like, wait for me, I'm trying to get to you. And it really was true. It does inspire you.
It does.
And you know, for me, I turned 50 last month, and I want to get a life insurance. I've never had it. So, talking about the blood results,
right.
I'm trying to get my cholesterol down.
Right.
So this, like last month, I've been going on 5Ks every weekend. And I have to tell you, you know, when I was in my 20s or 30s, I used to work in a facility where we had 12 flights, and I would run up and down, wouldn't even think. But now I literally pant like a dog. The 5K for me,
Right.
it's been like a challenge, and I often have to remind myself that I have patience. I have this conversation.
Yes. Yeah, me too.
Right,
Me too.
and but it's interesting. I find it hard to find time. So, I've really made a special effort now to every weekend, to the displease of my kids and my wife, to actually go away for an hour and then come back all soaked.
Yeah. right. And how do you feel afterwards?
Actually, you feel great.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
true, but you all share that. You say you feel good afterwards.
And I'm the same way too. I've had some of my clients, when we do boot camps and things like that, and I see these people, it's like, oh my God, I need to work on my stuff because these guys are outdoing me and they're in better shape than me.
Yeah.
So I go home and I'm like, okay, you gotta have to talk the talk, walk the walk. So you guys are really inspiring us, and I need that.
They
Yeah.
keep me accountable.
Yes.
Because for me, I can't allow myself that backslide because then I can't be, I guess, what
Best
I
you can
consider
be
the
here.
role model
Yeah.
for them.
Absolutely.
It
Because I
really
try.
is. The visits are so inspiring when they come to the clinic.
Everybody wins, and I follow him. His passion, you can just tell
What's
that
that?
he cares about people.
Yeah.
So I'm serious. I
Thank
mean
you.
that. I mean that, and that's.
Feeling is beautiful.
It's very hard to find that type. I'm not just saying that just to blow them up. Okay? But you feel it. You go on social media or you hear stories, and you can tell when someone's really passionate about doing what they love. And for that, I'm sure he's helped a lot of people, and I guarantee he probably gets just as much.
Oh, if not more.
Yes, because
I tell them the visits for us, 6 months annual, are very exciting.
Yes.
And of course, at the same time, it's always, you feel those challenges when patients come and talk to you about
Yes.
those, when they're having the struggles,
Yes.
and I think forums like this is always good.
Huge.
To
Huge.
share.
Yes, because this journey's not easy.
Yeah.
We've talked about the good, and we're gonna go in that in a second. But and I'm sure he probably takes responsibility just like I do, of when they're not getting results.
Yes.
And even though we've tried, at the end of the day, I carry the burden, and I've been working on that.
Yeah.
But it's still, because we love what we do, and I'm sure you guys, it's like your kids. You got to take care of your kids. You want to be an inspiration to your kids, and so when we hear these stories, and sometimes we need to hear these stories. These stories that you hear, I guarantee you, the doctor's gonna be like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Because I'm on the right track. Because there's going to be times I'm sure he gets people that say, I haven't lost anything, I'm tired, doctor, I don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. I get it all the time. But it's the little stories that makes me go, wow, okay, you're still going, you're still okay. So that's why I'm a big believer in stories.
I
So,
totally agree.
Thank you.
Thank you for the good work you do.
Oh, we're just getting started, but I'm getting more gray hair. Thank you, doctor. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, thank you. Yes, let's definitely. You guys got homework. Well, not homework, but listen, you guys got any notes, your phones, your little notes? Because I just want to give you just a couple tips, okay? Just real quick. As I was thinking about this, I think we should keep it very simple. Just 3 tips. I don't know if you have your smartphone or you can use your little notepad. Just 3 tips to really keep this journey successful. First one is the commitment, which is staying dedicated once the motivation goes away. And kind of like when we just had the surgery, we're inspired, boy, this is new. Then after a few months or a year goes by, that's where I think motivation these days is overrated. It's more of commitment, and it goes back to the why we're doing that. And I think if you can really focus on that, okay, the commitment after the motivation goes away, or even after you lose the 10 pounds, and then maybe you hit a wall. That's where that commitment has to really kick in, So that why has to really take place. So I'm real big, commitment is very important after the motivation goes away. Number 2, we just talked about this a little bit, support. Support in wherever you're at. And sometimes, and I know I get in trouble for this sometimes you have to cut certain people out of your life. I know that's tough. But
Get rid of the negative.
yeah, you gotta get rid of the negative, and I don't know if you, do we have a lot of people that are very people pleasers?
Most of us probably.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, what I've noticed is when you start having success, very few people really support you. Because they start getting jealous.
Well, you know what, we talk
Go ahead.
about that, and one of the things
Take your
that we
time.
talk about, you guys, we talk about the pre-op education, where one of the things that we say is that, people, sometimes after surgery they become depressed and that kind of stuff, because it's like all of a sudden these people that you were, that you allied with, or however you want to look at it, all of a sudden they're not including you. And maybe they were your eating buddy, and now they want nothing to do with you because you're not going to go out and eat with them.
Right.
And that does become problematic for people. Or they have siblings who are angry at them because they're no longer the thin, and you look at the physical, the thin sibling.
And they think that you think you're better than them. But that's not the case. You're just better than the way you used to be.
Healthier.
You're just better than the way you used to be, and you decided to make a change. So you're going to get a lot. Not everybody's going to jump on board with you, and that's what I realized. And a lot of my clients as well as me too. Once you step out and really said, I'm sick and tired of the way I feel, very few people are really going to support you.
And you'll hear, why are you doing that?
Exactly. Why are you eating that? Why are you weighing this? Why are you weighing that?
Why are you exercising like that?
Right. So that's sometimes I've had to cut some people out too, and it's nothing personal, but some of the things, it means that much to me to stay on track. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because you can't make everybody happy, but the most important thing is going back to your why. If your motive is right, which I believe it is, that's going to push you through that. And if you have to make those decisions and cut some of that negativity out, do it, because life is short. So, and that's why these support groups are really important, because we need that little recharge every month. Or if do you guys have any walking partners or anything like that? You guys exercise together, or find yourself a good facility, a gym, or just find people with similar goals, because a lot of people, what I've noticed is that, negativity hangs around negativity and positivity hangs around positivity. So you might have to meet some new friends, and that's why I'm a big believer. I really think it's the top 3 things. Number 2 is the support. Now, another one, actually all these are important in my opinion. Okay, progress, not perfection. Huge. Okay, so many people think I need to have the perfect diet, or I've got to have the perfect BMI. Throw that out, guys. Focus on your progress and not perfection. The word perfection, you tell me somebody that's perfect, I'll show you that they're not perfect. None of us are perfect. But if we focus on daily progress, day after day, because you know what, guys, can I be honest with you? We're going to blow it. How many of us have blown it already? We got a lot of honest people. Okay, who really, let's come out of the shell here. Who wants to admit and maybe share a story that they blew it? Go ahead.
And I have to tell you, sometimes patients, I think, seem to look at carbs almost as poison. And it's not.
No.
Physiologically, we need it.
Not,
you just got to, composition-wise, get that optimal balance.
It has to be a healthy carb.
The doctor's right. Every 5 years they're coming up with something. When I was first coming into this, there was the low carb, no carb, all protein, no protein, low fat, no. The reality is balance.
And I talk
That's
about that.
Huge,
and
guys.
I talk about
Make
that.
a big note with a couple stars. Balance.
And I talk about that in pre-op education. When I talk about your diet, I say, we talk about it's like low fat, low carb, this, that. I said, I say low carb. I don't say no carb. Because you need the balance. You need the fat in your diet.
You need the fats
too.
for your joints.
You need the fat.
Like
you need the carbs.
For
you
your
need the
energy,
protein,
your brain
you
functions
need it
on your
all.
carbs. If we keep it very basic and simple of a balance, your carbs, your saturated fats, and your proteins, and portion control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's huge. Huge. I mean, those are, is key.
Do I tell you guys to portion out your food and weigh it?
Important. Important. Not feeling full, and I know some of us can't feel any full now these days, but if you're on prayer, if you're thinking about it, the feeling full, and like I tell, what happens when you feel full, your body has to digest all that.
There's a difference between full and satisfied.
Thank you.
Full and satisfied.
Yes, when you feel full, and that's hard because some of our cultures, I'm Hispanic, and I tell you what, if I don't finish my plate, my mom.
She's gonna send you to 4-star kids.
Yeah, you know what? Or if I start losing weight, she thinks, Mima, do you need money? She tries to slip me. She tries to slip me a $20 bill. I'm just
got a burger. Like,
yes,
give us some meat.
because to them, everything is food, and they want you full, and they want to give you more. But the problem with that is that if what your body doesn't utilize, it stores. And for us, we store it here. The ladies, they store it there. So the key is that portions.
Yes.
And I tell people, never feel full. Because if you feel full, then your body, and how many people feel full and then you don't want to do anything? You have no energy. Because your body's got all these calories in it.
And it's uncomfortable for us to be full.
So I hate to say that, I think that's a culture thing in this country. And I think sometimes we use food for comfort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We use it boredom.
Medicate ourselves.
We medicate ourselves.
Absolutely.
So that goes back to the mental,
Right.
what I call the mental fitness of tying that to, of saying, okay, that's it. Shut it down and switching the habits. That's the hardest part. You know what I mean? And what I've noticed
We
with
have to
myself.
find something else to
Yes.
take that place.
Right.
Because I talk about this a lot. We eat, as a culture, we eat when we're happy, we eat when we're sad, we eat when we're bored, we eat when we're tired, we eat when we're stressed. How many times have you opened the refrigerator and look,
Right.
like something magic is gonna pop out?
Yeah. Yeah. We go out to the mall. People are eating at 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Well, that doesn't work at all.
That doesn't work, Doctor, how many calories does your body burn after a certain time?
Actually, it's interesting. When we went to the American Society this November, one of the topic subjects by the nutritionists was weight loss in patients who do night shift is a lot worse.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I can
Because
tell ya.
metabolically,
Yes.
you are obviously at the phase where you're resting
Yes. Absolutely.
endogenously,
Yes.
and you're taking calories and you're not going to utilize those. So they tend to have a harder time, and
Very.
it's a challenging
So
problem.
true. So true. So you have to find that balance. But I think if we can kind of tap into this, if any of us do comfort eating, and kind of go against the grain as far as what's out there right now, because like I said, everyone eats late at night. What I tell my clients is to make sure you get enough food, and myself, and I try not to eat after a certain time.
Yeah.
That's no late night eating, about 5 or 6 o'clock, and I know that's tough because but the reality is if you have your healthy meals during the day, you should be okay. And if you need a snack or something like that, then I'll have some cottage cheese or water, a big glass of water that suppresses you, and then you go to sleep. And just basically do the best you can. That's all you can do. You're not gonna you're gonna mess up, but that's where that focus on your progress. But once you get the progress and it becomes a new normal, then, because a lot of us do habits. I bet you we have our habit to the T of when we leave, we have our coffee set up. So once we turn those bad habits into good habits, after a couple weeks, it becomes what I call a healthy habit and a healthy choice. What it's very hard sometimes, like you said, you traveled, right? So you got off track. That's why these support groups are good, to keep you on track. And to go and hear somebody saying, all right, you screwed up too good, I screwed up, I don't feel as bad. So the healthy habits and the support, and like I said, guys, focus on the progress. The worst thing that I've seen, and it really bothers me, is when somebody does good and they have a life experience and life punches them in the mouth, they stop training, and they forget, I'm back to square one, and they stop. Because they have this perception in their head that they have to have this perfect diet, that they have to exercise 6 days a week, 2 hours, and I didn't get it in, so might as well just, when the reality is, don't beat yourself up, because we're human, as long as we get back on track.
Life happens.
Life happens, exactly, and it's when life happens, that's where your support team comes in. You're only gonna have a couple of them, but those ones that'll tell you, like my support team, if I didn't do a good class, or somebody, I was like, man, and then your support, hey, Steve, you okay? Because I don't know about you, but I take it. I'm sure Dr. says, I can tell you're passionate. We take stuff pretty hard, huh?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Yeah, you can be self-critical, but you gotta also make sure that you stay on that path.
Stay on that path and have somebody there that pick you up, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your friend, whether it's a family member. Just to say, hey, it's gonna be okay. So we all have these pressures, and I'm bouncing around a little bit, guys. When we have that bad day, if you feel like that food is comfort, try not to go to the food or the wine or whatever the vice is. Try to, and I know it's so easy, and anybody can sit up here and say that, but really, there's nothing better than knowing you dodged a bullet or made what I call a healthy choice. You know, times where I've been hungry, but I'm maybe trying to have a little personal goal, and I said, you know, I didn't eat that, or I exercised when I didn't want to. After I got done doing that, I felt good here that I made a healthy choice. And that goes back to that confidence. You know what I mean? That confidence of saying, hey, I dodged the bullet, and you know what? Boom. And then that's where that mental fitness gets stronger.
And you know what, one of the patients has, several patients have told me that this whole process, and I bet you all of you could probably agree with this somewhere along the line, that this is so mental. This is so mental. It's like, sit in that, you guys sit with me in that office the first time, and we're talking about how it's gone the first 2 weeks, and you're going into the third week, and I never thought this would be so mental. I never thought this would be so tough.
Absolutely.
And it's, you know what guys, it's tough no matter how you do it. It's no matter how you do it. If you're normal stomach or
Absolutely.
altered stomach, it's hard no matter how you do it.
The mental fitness gets strong, which is going to push you to do the physical. Honest people, do you guys like to exercise? Is it tough?
Yeah.
Good. The endorphins, everything in the fitness, I'm telling you, it's a good feeling. It's a stress reliever. I've had a lot of people, including myself. At one time I was hooked on drugs, and I went to jail, and I used that exercise to kind of, you know, and if you're you have an addictive personality, sometimes one addiction just switches to another addiction. And
That's what our support group was about last month.
was it?
Oh yeah.
So I dodged that bullet, and then everything else come together. But we have an addictive personality. Fitness is not a bad way to get in there. You know, it's a healthy choice. Just don't overtrain. Don't do it 7 days.
I think Steve applauses you for that.
Well, it's you know, you love to share stories, and I think the best thing is when you like to share your passion, and I like to share that because that's what's gotten me out of my struggles is finding healthy habits and knowing that, hey, you know what, you dodged a bullet. It's kind of like somebody that's on recovery. Hey, you know what, I didn't have that drink that night. There's nothing wrong with giving yourself a pat on the back. You know, you don't need to put it on Facebook or Instagram, you know. But when no one's looking, say, you know what? I didn't have that piece of meat, or I didn't have that cake. I didn't have that beer that I really wanted, or you know what? Oh, I went for that walk and I didn't want to go. You know what? Hey, you're doing okay.
I think planning is also important.
Huge.
So talking about like the P's, but for instance, a lot of our patients who may be like engineers or come from industries that are very kind of structured, right? They really find perhaps that helps them. Going around the table, finding who's working and who's retired, that's another thing that I kind of talk to patients. Often retired patients are divided into two groups. Ones that plan and they kind of look forward to it and they say, okay, I'm going to be now going to painting class, and then I want to always go to Zumba,
Yes.
and X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
They really have a very structured
Yes.
retirement. And then on the flip side, I've also got patients who really are done with work and they just want to do nothing. And the vulnerability with that, of course, is they lose that structure, and then it becomes a challenge. So I think it's always good to
have a plan of
the
attack.
plan,
Yes.
try and stay on task always you can, of course,
Absolutely.
you know. And like you said, don't look for perfection. I think that's so important. But always progress. If it's a pound, an ounce, it doesn't matter.
You didn't have it yesterday.
Exactly, and she was just talking about, Liz, the whole, you know what, she spent like an hour on the phone with me, and I needed that, and you know, because she was frustrated, she hasn't lost any weight.
Right.
Well, since then, she's lost another 10 pounds.
Wow.
Go.
Yes,
Awesome. Good.
but because she wanted these other people were losing weight. You know how we like to compare. But I told her just 1 pound a day, or 1 pound a week,
You didn't put-
or 1 pound 2 weeks.
You didn't, it took you a while to put that on.
Yes.
It's gonna take you a
Yes.
while to take it off.
Yes.
You know what, and a lot of people have heard me say this, the scale doesn't, and you've said it, the scale doesn't 100% define you.
No.
Because you know what, there's the little things that, you know, that people take for granted.
Right.
You can go to a restaurant and sit in a booth. you can cross your legs like this instead of like this.
It's funny, and then you know, when you reflect and look back how far along you've come, you know, and there's nothing wrong with reflection. Seeing your progress, speaking of progress, seeing your progress of, especially when we don't hit that goal or whatever goals we set, and we have to reflect and look back and say, wow, wait a minute, I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that before. Because I think all of us as humans are very hard on ourselves. I know I am, I'm sure you are, but sometimes you have to reflect and say, okay, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
I'll let it go.
Ooh, nice, you gotta let it go. And I think the doctor hit something good. That probably would have been the fourth topic, is plan of attack too. Having the plan, and if the plan doesn't work, modify, but still have a plan. Because that keeps us on schedule. We all have plans in the morning, like I said, our daily routines. So I think those four, let's even add that to the fourth step, is the plan of attack. Have a plan, and for some reason it doesn't work. She was frustrated, we kept pushing. She tweaked a couple things, and then boom, she ended up losing, I think, another 11 pounds. She sent me a message the other day, she lost 4 more pounds. So the key is to stay consistent. And I commend you guys on your healthy choices. And what I love that I hear as I wrap this up is your why sounds pretty good. Kids, health. I didn't hear too much of the vanity part of, I want to see my abs. And I get that. We all get that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we do. Okay. I mean, me too. I like, but. But that's true. Though. I mean, we all want to look good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying.
Sit like this, don't you, Betsy?
Yeah, I mean, we all want to look good, okay? But here's what I've noticed. Exactly.
Right.
When you do get there, what's next? When you get those abs or whatever, or the new arms, there's going to be something else. Because success is a moving target. So once we get this, we're going to want to go to that. But if the why and the N word is really strong, which I think kids, your health, that's gonna push us when the motivation goes away. And you know, I think that's great. I mean, like I said, I'm gonna go brag tomorrow about the stories that I've heard about you guys. But I've never met the doctor, but I've heard so many good things about it, and I'm glad that you were here tonight. Hey, let's give Liz and the doctor a round of applause. It's very hard to find people who genuinely love what they do and do for the right reasons. And I think you have that right over here.